Well, I'm joined now on set by Jean-François Collec, student and member of the youth wing of Mélenchon's France Unbowed party. Thank you so much for being with us this morning on France 24.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Now, Mélenchon, he's 70 years old. He has had a huge amount of support from young voters, yourself included. What is it exactly about Mélenchon's programme that so enthused younger voters?
There's a lot of things, I reckon. I think that we have seen in the last 5 years that our generation is particularly interested in the climate issues, We have seen that because of with the Fridays for Future, the climate strikes and so on. And we know that our generation is particularly aware that it will suffer from the consequences of climate change. So that is the first thing. Jean-Luc Mélenchon has a radical program to reduce carbon emissions and adapt the society to the changes of climate change. And also I think that our generation suffers from unemployment and poverty more than the other generations. So the radical propositions of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, higher the wages, the minimum wage, and so on, is very interesting to us. And of course, the democratic emergency is something that I reckon has interested the youth, because the Fifth Republic is now almost 70 years old. So I think that it's not relevant for today's issues. And I think that our generation is interested about that.
So very interested, but Jean-Luc Mélenchon is not through to the second round. In his concession speech last night, he urged people, I think 4 times, not to vote for the far right, not to vote for Marine Le Pen. He didn't endorse Macron, just like he didn't endorse Macron back in 2017. Do you know how you're going to vote in the second round, if at all?
I've been thinking about it. I haven't taken my decision yet, and I think I'm going to think about it because, Jean-Luc Mélenchon has announced that, just like in 2017, we're going to organize a consultation of every member of La France Insoumise on the internet platform, and I think I'm going to take part in the debate and think about it. And I think it's normal not to call to vote for Macron, because 5 years ago, Macron was elected in front of Marine Le Pen. And it was already le Front Républicain, And
the Republican Front.
Exactly. And he actually didn't give any compromise to a lot of left voters who voted for him against Marine Le Pen. So, I think we need guarantees about that, and we haven't seen them yet.
Andrew Smith, Mélenchon urged his supporters to stay away from Le Pen. But Le Pen, it should be said, is making a real bid for those voters, calling herself on Sunday night a candidate for social justice, a candidate of solidarity. How many Mélenchon supporters do you think might actually opt for Le Pen?
It's a challenging one. Polling before the first round suggests there's almost a 1/3 split. That will see roughly a third of the votes go to Macron, a third to Marine Le Pen, and a third will abstain. I think there's a lot riding on 2 weeks of debate, 2 weeks of announcements, concessions. I think the really important thing is, again, to look at the entire programmes for both candidates, to understand their policy platforms. I think it was a positive step to see Jean-Luc Mélenchon make clear that he did not want to see support for Marine Le Pen. And, he gave people different options. He spoke to them, he said, abstention, a vote blanc, or even a vote for Macron. These are other options that people have, but not that vote for Le Pen herself. I think, for Jean-Luc Mélenchon, there is, a difficult time ahead in terms of figuring out exactly where this goes. We've got now essentially politics grouped around those 3 blocks, and he has united the left around him. And that is a really fundamental and important voter bloc. Will people vote for the sort of the chaotic promise of Marine Le Pen, or what looks like for many people a kind of boring stability or a neoliberal option with somebody like Macron? That's not a huge enticing offer for many Mélenchon voters. And I think these 2 weeks are going to be really important to see that offer expanded in a big way.
And we will, of course, be looking very closely indeed at the abstention rate that comes out of the 24th of April election as well.